Hey everyone, thanks for watching. I have an exciting show for you today. I actually have Gabriel Garcia with us, who's a wholesaler out of South Florida, and he's actually taking time while he's being a dad out of the park to talk to us. So Gabriel, thanks for giving us some time. How you doing?
I'm doing great, man. I'm doing great. Honored to be on the show.
Oh, thank you very much. Why don't we give a shout out to the kids? Flash the kids on camera so they can feel like they've been on an interview.
Hey guys, say hi. Say hi, Pax. They can't hear because I got the AirPods on. But
all right, no problem. So why don't you just introduce yourself, where you are, what you do, and we'll go from there.
Yeah. So I'm primarily a wholesaler. We wholesale down in South Florida, Dade, Broward, Palm Beach counties. Probably do a little north of 100 houses a year. Probably about a little over 2 million in gross revenue. And yeah, that's kind of what we're doing. Slowly building the rental portfolio as we continue to wholesale and put some cash away and then build our wealth on the back end. And that's a little bit about me.
That's very cool. So the reason I wanted to make sure we got you on the show is, again, a couple of things you shared. One is you got started in 2013, which is, it was great timing, right? You were just coming out of this crash. You were probably picking up stuff even cheaper than you are today, I'm sure, probably way cheaper.
For sure.
And you're doing 100 houses, right? So you've got that next level business, right? I know lots of people doing 10 to 15 a year, but you're through that. So why don't you just share what are the big differences going to 100 homes from doing 1 or 2 a month? Do you have any thoughts on what the big differences are?
Yeah, the two biggest differences. Well, there's a few, but the two biggest differences I would say would be primarily systems, being one of them, and people. I think when you have the right people in the right seats and you have systems that work, from first and foremost being a lead generation system or a marketing system, and then just a system to acquire at good discounts, a system to dispose of the assets at the best possible price you can get to maximize profits, financial system to manage the money in and out and cash flow and all that. So those are really the things that really differentiate, the guy doing a larger volume than just, the guy that's just getting started hustling hard, putting 60 hours a week in the business and just running and gunning by himself,
Yeah. Well, why don't you highlight for our group? Because again, you started in 13 and doing 100 deals a year. What was that ramp for you, right? In 13, did you do like 5 or did you just come out swinging and did 100 in 2013?
No. So yeah, 13 was my first year. I had just learned about wholesaling. Mind you, I just graduated from school of music business. I had no business background. My only other business background that I ever had was selling weed when I was younger. Other than that, I had no business background. No one in my family was a business. Well, my grandfather was, but he never taught me anything. None of my parents or close relatives were in business. So it was the biggest impact was me getting a mentor. I had already been familiar with the concept of a mentor because I had found the mentor in my life, in my spiritual path much earlier, and it changed my whole entire life. So that concept just made a lot of sense to me because I seen it work in my life. So I was like, and we, as you grow in business, you start learning it's more about the who than the how.
Yeah.
And so, it was more like who's going to help me, like just shorten my learning curve and tell me the formula, because I can spend all the time and watch all the YouTube videos and go to all these conferences and try and figure out these formulas on my own, but it's going to take me way longer. And the reality is it could take you so long that you get discouraged and bail out. So I didn't want that to happen. I wanted to get successful as fast as possible. So I got the mentor. The mentor got me doing deals, taught me the technical aspects of real estate investing, like how to deal structure, how to negotiate, more of just the technical aspects of it, how to comp and buy at the right prices and sell at the right prices and things like that. So my first year, I think I probably did, and I didn't find my mentor until like May. I started working with him probably. I think we started working officially like in August. So I think towards that year, I maybe did 1 to 2 houses tops. That was my first year.
All right. So 2013, we do 2 houses. Okay.
Yeah, we did about 2 houses. I think 14. I don't remember how many houses I did in 14, but let's probably say that was the year I quit my job, my full-time job.
Very cool.
Let's say I probably did anywhere from like 10 to 20, maybe.
Okay. All right.
I'm just kind of throwing random numbers. I really don't have I have an Excel sheet where I'm sure I can look it up, but I don't have that in front of me. So,
but you were
let's just say
basically doing a deal a month, basically.
More or less, yeah.
Okay, so you quit your job, doing a deal a month, paying the bills.
And it wasn't, and it by no means was it consistent like that. You know, there's
sure.
some months where you have like 3 or 4, and then there's other months where you just nothing comes in. You know, and even when you get to 100 deals, there still seems to be, we haven't cracked the code yet where you just get like a consistent stream of deals and revenue every single month. You know, there's some months where we close very few deals, and then there's other months where we close a massive amount of deals. You know, so it's still a very cyclical nature type business. So, but anyways, so around that, then 15. I don't remember how many deals I did in 15. I could tell you in 15, my net income after all said and done, like I was probably around 250.
Okay.
2015. I remember that. That I do remember. I don't really remember how many deals it was.
Okay.
As a matter of fact, in 15, no, you know what? I do remember. In 15, we did about $1 million. That's when I started with my partner. So 13 and 14, I was solo.
Got it.
15, we formed Florida Cash Home Buyers, which is the company that we operate in right now.
Yeah.
We did about $1 million in revenue 2015. So we kept about 50% of that between my partner and I.
Okay.
I think that was about 50 houses is what we did in 15. That's when the marketing engine really started cranking up. 16, we doubled the business and we went from 1 million to 2 million. And we did about 100 houses. And then, 17 and 18 were kind of at the same level. We've remained a little kind of plateaued a little bit in our backyard. This year, 19, we're on pace to probably break a little bit past the 2 million mark, not by much, but we're looking to start replicating and expanding into new markets because we've tried so many ways to just go deeper in our market and continue to grow. And it's been a tough battle. It really has. So we've kind of, taken the stance that, we have something that works. It's replicable. Let's just do it in other places because we've tried to add new streams of revenue into our own backyard, and it just complicates things, and there's more learning curves and more systems to implement and things like that. So that's kind of where we're at right now.
Yeah. So lots of things you sort of threw out there. I want to go back and summarize. First, we started that by talking about a mentor being key. And you're absolutely right.
Yeah.
A good mentor is about shortening time frames. And also finding a mentor that's doing what you want to do, right? It's very important. It's why I spent 3 months developing a course, because I'm trying to service the need of full-time employees to do what you did, quit their jobs. But I do it via buy and hold, right? That's kind of my story, one rental at a time. So I'm glad to hear that, right? I totally agree. Mentors make a big difference when you find one that works. And then the other one you talked about is a partnership kind of exploded your business in marketing.
It did. The partnership really, really helped us grow because then we were able to, focus our strengths, focus more on our strengths and not just handle everything yourself. So my partner was he's a systems guy as well.
Yeah.
We're both pretty systematical, but I'm more of the visionary, and he's more of the integrator type role. So he's very like consistent in what he does, where my energy can sometimes be a little bit more sporadic,
diverted.
Yeah. So he can, so because, and I saw that in him, and he was really good at being consistent with the marketing, and I knew that was a key ingredient to success, because what, you know, most, if you're strictly a visionary, I can tell you exactly what's going to happen to you in your business. You're going to start the marketing. Then as deals come in, you're going to start putting your money into different resources in the business. You're going to stop marketing. You'll probably get shiny object syndrome and figure out, hey, how can I maximize profit on this deal? What if I rehab this? You know, if I rehab this and I can increase my profit an extra 20 grand, let me do that. And before you know it, you never have any consistency going, because you're always kind of like using your creativity to try new things. And, one of my mentors, also Mark Evans, I don't know, you know Mark, right?
Yeah, I know, man.
Yeah, so, you know, Mark always told me, he's like, Gabe, your business has to be boring. You know, he's like, if your business is exciting, he's like, that's a business that's probably losing money. You know, he's like, the business has to be boring. It has to just do the same thing over and over and over again. And so for a visionary, that can be very difficult. It really can.
So right. Yeah.
So having my partner come in and do the marketing really helped. While then I was able to do, you know, what I did best, which was, you know, getting with higher level people, learning like better strategies and better ways to manage the business and run the business and the sales part and things like that. So that energy really did help us take off, for sure.
Yeah, and I think finding a partner that complements you is key, right? I think if you think about it, a visionary and a process and procedure is a marriage made in heaven. Having two visionaries or two operation folks, not a great idea.
It's not a great idea, for sure.
Yeah,
totally agree.
Yeah. So, is it just you and your partner, or do you have salespeople today, or how big's the team today?
So I always forget the number, but so it's me and a business partner. I have one acquisition rep. I have four inside salespeople. We got several VAs, but we don't really count them into the core part of the business. And I got a disposition rep that, you know, handles all the dispo of the properties. We got a transaction coordinator and a like bookkeeper / controller that handles the financial part. That's pretty much the team.
Yeah. So you have marketing overhead and you have people overhead, for sure.
Yeah. I mean, people is the biggest overhead in our business.
No question. Very
for sure.
Cool. So tell me about quitting your job. I think you said that was 2014. Was that nerve-wracking, or you just knew you had it, or what did that feel like? Do you remember?
Yeah. I remember when I first got my job. So I quit. I went to school for music business. I was actually a hip hop artist in my past life, and
okay.
I was recording a bunch of hip hop songs, and that was kind of like what I wanted to do. But just as the industry wasn't for me. I realized that after going into $40,000 in debt in school, but it is what it is.
It happens to all of us.
Yeah. Right. You're young, you're naive, and you're not even worried about finances at that part in your life. You just want to do something you love, at least that was my mindset.
Yeah, no, I agree.
So, but yeah, so then, I got a job at Humana, a health insurance company. They offered me $30,000 a year. I took that. It was great while I started. Like, I know that you mentioned that you try and coach people, that are going to their jobs. So this is a key hack for me. I went through a couple jobs right when I graduated school. And what I found there are jobs that require your 100% time and attention.
Yep.
And if you're trying to build a business, you need to get out of that job. That's not a job that you want to be in. There are jobs that are very laid back and chill, and you can accomplish getting a lot of the work in that job probably within like 6 hours.
Yep.
You can bring books at the job and read during your downtime. As long as you get your work done, people aren't messing with you. So those are the type of jobs that you really want to look for if you're trying to build a business. And so that's what happened to me. While most people were goofing off in their job and using their downtime to gossip and talk about, the news or the next celebrity thing or whatever, I had no interest in that. I was, I had books on my shelves and I was reading. I had an Excel sheet of all the agents that I was calling and following up with. Yeah. It even got to a point where I was able to use my lunch break, not to eat lunch, but to work. I always brought an Excel sheet with every offer that I had on the table, the agent's name and phone number. and I would just call in that hour and make my follow-up calls. And then I would eat during my time at work because it was a desk job on the computer. So I could type, take a little pause, put food in my mouth and keep going, So, I mean, those things sound silly, but it really makes a big deal,
I totally agree.
And so from doing that, I was basically at that time too, I was up around 5 a.m. every day. I also had a pretty good that literally my job was 5 minutes away from where I lived.
Oh, nice.
So that was a big blessing. And so I would literally just walk to work. But I was up, work didn't start till 9, so I didn't have to be here till 9 o'clock. So I was up at 5. I didn't have kids at the time. With kids, it'd even be more difficult. But, from 5 to 7, basically those 2 hours was just putting offers out on all the deals, following up with emails and just putting offers. And then my lunch break was basically, following up on those offers. And if I had any time when I got back home, which typically there were some days I worked at home. I mean, after when I got back from work, but not a lot of times. It was mostly that morning shift.
Yeah.
And that hour during lunch. And then on Saturdays too, I would put in some work here and there. Within a year got me to the point where I was able to quit. Was it scary? Yeah, it was. I mean, what kind of helped me going was it got to a point where everyone in the company knew what I was doing because I was always on the phone, on my cell phone, like taking calls in and things like that. And it started getting management's attention. And like one day I got reprimanded. And there's nothing wrong with it. It's just my personality. Like I don't like for people to tell me what to do, I don't like for people to, I don't like to be reprimanded in any way. So like that, when that happened, it just really left a bad taste in my mouth. And I'm like, man, I got to get out of here because they're either going to fire me or I'm going to leave. And I had already been wanting to leave for probably like at least 4 months ago. Like I got to a point where I really hated going to work because I knew I wanted to be in the business. I was grinding and hustling and I knew that I'd make way more. I knew that I would make way more money on my own than going to work, but I still had to suck it up because I needed the paycheck. So I had a deal that I got in that I was set to make it was about a $35,000 or $40,000 wholesale deal. So it was more than my annual salary. So once that one happened, I got the reprimands. I called my mentor up. I'm like, they're going to fire me. And I've been telling him that I want to quit. And he's like, just hold off. I know you want to quit, but hang in there. You got to stay in there. Yeah. After that, I told him that he's like, look, just leave, man. He's like, I've never told any of my students to quit their job, but he's like, you're a different case. I'm going to give you the green light to go ahead and quit. So he actually called my wife, well, my girlfriend at the time, but my wife now, to kind of let her know so she wouldn't freak out, because obviously she respected him as well or whatever. And he's like, look, he's going to quit. And, you guys, I think you'll be fine, but just support him, be with him through these times because it can get a little rocky or whatever. And it actually did. That deal that was supposed to close didn't end up closing. So we were months without income. And it got really stressful for the next few months. We had to become okay with not paying bills on time, and making late payments on bills and negotiating with the landlord, like, hey, can we pay a little bit later? And calling FPL, hey, we're a little bit late, and our power got shut off a couple times. So it was a little bit stressful. We quit. After the deal did end up closing later, it just got delayed, and then my pipeline of deals that I had built started finally closing in, and then the rest was history. We were good, but there was a period after I quit where it was extremely stressful.
Yeah. So talk about having the support of your significant other. That's something that's not talked about enough. I think you have to have that significant other behind you, because if they're not, they'll just, during those tough times, they'll just pick at you, and pretty soon it's not fun for anyone.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, it's super invaluable. I mean, for sure. And if we didn't have that, I mean, if she just wasn't on board with it, I think that relationship would have been severely damaged, and who knows if it would have lasted. You know, because it's understandable. You know, if you have a wife that's like so gun ho on security, and then they're driven by that, and you're an entrepreneur who you're more driven by freedom, there's going to be a clash. And it's not that you don't love each other, but there's just two dynamically opposing forces, and it can cause a ton of friction. You know.
Totally agree. Well, I'm curious about this one. So you've been, I'll call it plateaued, or you kind of went to 100 transactions the last 3 or 4 years. I guess you mentioned in the intro, you're looking at other markets. Put your crystal ball on and look out 3 to 5 years. What's Gabriel doing in 3 to 5 years, you think?
In 3 to 5 years, I still see myself in this wholesaling business, but I see myself acting truly as a true visionary or CEO, where there's management in place, there's leadership in place. I'm not heavily involved in the day-to-day operations. I'm more just there as a support for the team through whenever there's big problems that they need support on, or things of that nature. And I see us really focused. I see me spending more of my time focusing on the assets that we want to put into the portfolio.
Yep.
And I probably also see myself, I don't know, maybe like speaking or doing something of that nature, because there is a part of me that just is just driven by that. There's a part of me that wants to serve and give and make an impact to people, and I definitely want to explore that for sure.
Yeah, I think you'd be really good at that if you choose to go that direction. I think that would be that would fill your cup, if you will, and you'd be of service to others. That'd be pretty awesome. So as we wrap this up, I want to make sure we turn it over to you. I know you do some high level coaching, so let's talk about what that looks like. It's not for everyone, but make sure we hit that, because I think you can really help people go from a few transactions to a lot. And then also, if you're looking for private money, let people know where you invest and things of that nature, please.
Sure. Yeah, I appreciate that. I mean, for the high level coaching, I mean, it's mostly guys that, are already doing like 6 figures a year in their real estate business and looking to crank it up and get it more dialed in and take it to another level. So I work with guys one-on-one. There's, a couple different options on how I do that. But I typically just work with them one-on-one, and it's kind of something I just do for the joy of it, and kind of help them get whatever they need, processes or resources or advice on how to get their business to the next level. And as far as the private money goes, I mean, for the portfolio part of our business that we're buying, right now we're buying assets in Dade, Broward, and Palm Beach counties that we're looking to hold long term in. So we're always working with private investors who want to invest and put their money to use, and
Very cool.
we're always open.
How could somebody reach out to you? Is it just Facebook the best way, or what's the best way to get a hold of Gabriel?
Yeah. Facebook is probably the best way. You could just you could look me up by Gabriel Garcia on Facebook. I could also give an email out.
Go for it.
If people want to give an email, it's Gabriel Garcia, REI at gmail.com. So if people want to email me there, you could also reach out to there.
Very, very cool. Well, Gabriel, I appreciate you giving us some time. You've been very helpful. I applaud you for being a dad and taking your kids to the park. That's awesome. And enjoy the rest of your day.
I appreciate it, Michael. Thanks for having me on, man.
You got it.